the story, isn't it now? We know it so well.
Sailing towards Syria's Trump weighs options. Now we have a 7-warship strike group with cruise missiles on its way to the Mediterranean.
See, he'd never tell you about the 7. Then he introduces the big-eyed girl. Nothing so funny about a big-eyed girl. Makes me feel so funny, makes me lose my money. It's the wiggle in a walk, the non-wiggle in the walk. So here's these two, and we're going on about recent events, of course, and they're giving us the spiel, the Paul Watson spiel. You can see his eyes here at one stage, the way he looks up. Definitely part of the tea gang.
Which were Al-Qaeda linked, by the way, and the US, even in the United Nations, agreed that Al-Qaeda was controlling the city. The majority of them actually surrendered and had already given up their weapons or taken a bus ride to another town called Idlib. So the only group that hadn't surrendered was this group called the Islamic Army, or Jaish al-Islam. And the reason they didn't surrender and they controlled Douma is because they had leverage in the form of hostages.
Oh, the old hostages.
They had kidnapped.
They're in the cages, look.
Douma, but you're saying they
They're in the cage.
hostages. Were those hostages amongst the victims in this attack, do you think?
I think so. I mean, the part of the negotiations, which did go through in the end, was that they have to release the hostages. And the number of hostages was 4,000, except only 200 of the hostages.
The Quran, like Saudi Arabia, we're not just going to have a flippant, reckless reaction, not knowing any of the evidence. Let's actually look at what could have possibly happened in this town, both before and after when this chemical attack happened. What was the situation in the town of Douma before this alleged attack happened? Was there any kind of battlefield or strategic motive for the Syrian army to launch this attack? What was the situation on the ground before it happened?
No, it wasn't. It's exactly as you said. You know, Douma is a suburb that's part of a bigger suburb called Ghouta. Now, the insurgents that controlled Ghouta, which were Al-Qaeda linked, by the way, and the US, even in the United Nations, agreed that Al-Qaeda was controlling the city. The majority of them actually surrendered and had already given up their weapons or taken a bus ride to another town called Idlib. So the only group that hadn't surrendered was this group called the Islamic Army, or Jaish al-Islam. And the reason they didn't surrender and they controlled Douma is because they had leverage in the form of hostages. So
Leverage.
had kidnapped from nearby pro-Assad towns. And these are the wives and children of basically Syrian soldiers. And these civilians, they took them and they put them in cages in about 2015, and they paraded them around Douma and said that, you know...
These are the moderates that put people in cages and parade them around. In fact, I've seen the video clips of that. Parading them around in cages. They had another video which you played, which was one of the victims. They made them walk through like underground tunnels and they look very distressed. We're playing some of that footage now of them in the cages. So this group...
We're putting them in the cages, but this is the one. Right here.
Then we have a 7-warship strike group with cruise missiles on its way to the Mediterranean. Their way towards Syria right now. The US Navy destroyed USS Donald Cook is already in the region. As of yesterday, it's equipped with 60 Tomahawk cruise missiles. We also have this headline, US missile destroyer reportedly sailing towards Syria's Trump weighs options. Then we have a 7-warship strike group with cruise missiles on its way to the Mediterranean.
That's all you really need to see. You see how important the 7 is? Anyway, sorry I'm in this primitive mode of making videos before people say, oh gee, that's such a primitive thing to do today. I still haven't bothered to go back where I bought the computer. I want it written in next, so I'm waiting to calm down. So I'll just do videos like this for a minute. Somebody said download Firefox or this or that. I wish you were there to help me, mate. I'm so sick of computers and all the all the hassle with them, you know. They should be just plug and play and all easy. But of course, then they'd make no money, would they? It's like cars that could have been made so they didn't break easy. Now here's your sun, okay? And here is your Earth. Let me just stand a bit away so you can see what we've got here. Right? Now there's your globe. There's is your globe. Now let's just see what happens when the sun sets on the globe. So there's the sun, right? Now here's your globe. We're just going to lift it up. That's going to do for the demonstration. Right? Now it doesn't get any smaller as you can see. And look what happens. When the sun sets, look how clearly you can see brightness right above you there for ages. And see when it's going to set, look how bright it's still going to be for a long, long time before you really, spin enough around that you're really blocking it like that. You see that? So that is a problem. That is a big problem in my head. Look, it still shines up above you, you see? That's how it would be if it was 93 million miles away. Don't try and tell me any different. I just can't see that it could be. We can try, but I mean, ridiculous, eh? And then it'd be black. But when we see the sun, refer to my video I just did, and you'll see that once it goes, yes, there's a little bit of twilight, but within minutes, everything goes dead black. Twilight would last for hours. It's as simple as that. Now I thought it was time we look at this again. This is a picture I took just on dusk, as it were, flying towards Brisbane, so flying in a direct easterly direction. And I'm actually flying into the dark, and the sun is setting to the west behind. Now, you'd notice in that picture we just had, even in this one, there seems to be like another sun. And look at that strange part of the dark there, that if you look at the wing, most of the dark is parallel to it, except where you get to this point here, where the dark is cutting back, as you can see, at sort of nearly 90 degrees. So when you looked out at the plane in upwards, and I haven't got the wide enough shot here, but it taped away, but there was sort of dark to the left more than there was straight in the ground ahead of us. It was a very unusual look. That's why I took the photo. And you can see that sort of line of dark going, just looking the centre where the reflection, it must be a reflection of the sun, surely. Very strange. You can see that width of dark going backwards there and down. Yes, to me this is evidence that the atmosphere itself blocks light once it's a certain distance. That's what it looks like to me. It just doesn't seem to be what it'd look like as I've just shown you with the globe idea of the sun 93 million miles away. It's a very strange image indeed, and the window isn't having much effect at all on this image. I can see what you're looking at with my eyes, and I captured it with the camera because I was so blown away at the weird look. No one else in the plane seemed to be bothering. They were reading their papers, having their cups of tea, maybe just looking out the window and marvelling at the view. But I was really amazed at what I was seeing. I tried to say to people, look at that. That's weird. So I don't know what you make of it. Your comments will be welcome. And it just shows you what we think of this world and what is two different things.
Tin, because it comes from the Latin word stannum, which means tin. And in fact, if you go to Devon in the southwest of England, you'll find that some of the towns there are called stannery towns, because that's where they used to mine and trade tin.
Alex Desert as Stannon, Austin Abuwa Junwa as Young Stannon. Once upon a time. We're going to meet at Stannon House. Launch your bloodlines. He did have his Stannon corporate template. We've even got Stannon Skate Park. Looks like it's made of tin nearly, doesn't it? Stannon Skate Park. And Selenium, number 52 on the periodic table.
If you ingest tellurium into the body, it can get into your sweat and make you smell enough to really drive people mad. And these crystals like this one can be cut up and mounted into a piece of apparatus like this.
So a chemist won't deal with all the elements on the periodic table in his career, Nogman? No. Very few chemists will deal with more than perhaps a handful of different elements.
Yes, and tellurium is transformational.
Shining an infrared laser that's like a heat ray at one frequency, and it came out as twice the frequency, so you can use it to change the effect of the lasers. Unfortunately, that was twice the frequency, so you can use it to change the effect of the lasers. Unfortunately.
So a chemist won't deal with all the elements on the periodic table in his career, Nogman? No. Very few chemists will deal with more than perhaps a handful of different elements.
We have tin tuck, 24-hour.
Nguyên là các cán bộ hải quan để được thông qua các tờ khai thuế xuất khẩu khống, chiếm đoạt tiền hoàn thuế với tổng số tiền trên 35 tỷ đồng. Hôm qua, Tòa án Nhân dân tỉnh Kiên Giang đã tuyên phạt Mã Diệu Lan, 40 tuổi, nguyên là nhân viên bảo vệ trường tiểu học huyện Huệ, xã E, lập bản tiền lương, kế thực của một nhân viên, sau đó đem ra kho bạc và ngân hàng để chuyển số tiền này thành tài khoản riêng của mình. Trong 6 năm, bị can đã chiếm đoạt số tiền của nhà nước trên 400 triệu đồng.
Atlantic rollers breaking on granite cliffs. It's the stuff of a million picture postcards. But long before the tourists came, Cornwall had a harsher economy. Granite is where you find tin, but the rock doesn't give up its treasure without a fight. At Levant, as at many other mines, more often than not, the miners came off worst.
Interesting it's called the Levant, because people would know that Levant refers to the Middle East. Saint Just.
October the 20th, 1919. These are the earliest moving images of tin mining. They show the aftermath of the Levant mine disaster, when a lift bringing 100 men to the surface collapsed. Years later, John James, who should have been in that lift, recalled his own narrow escape.
And don't step in. Don't step in, boy. It's all wrong. And keep me the quiver a little night. Got back yonder like them.
Murray decided no one was to blame.
No one was to blame. Number 8.
Jews had been in Iraq, known in those days as Babylonia, from the beginning of the 6th century BC. So it is possible that the Magi were of Jewish extraction, in which case the astronomical evidence would have been compelling. Their traditional symbols would have left no room for doubt in their minds. Jupiter, the royal star, Saturn, the guardian of Israel, and Pisces, the sign of Israel's Messiah. It was enough. They were soon on their way westwards, and the Nativity itself took place almost certainly in October, not December, in the year 4 BC. William Blake was so impressed with the story of Joseph's flight to Britain that it became the subject of one of his first engravings entitled Joseph of Arimathea Amongst the Rocks of Albion. On the original engraving, Blake wrote, Michelangelo painted it. So the Italian school must have known the story, 16th century. Joseph's adoption of Britain as his final place of work and service is commemorated in some West Country churches. In the parish church at Weston, Bath, Joseph is shown with his followers, some of whom are women, holding his famous star which is bursting into blossom as he thrusts it into the fertile soil of Somerset. It is believed that cuttings were taken, planted and replanted from the original flowering stalk, the little trees being miraculously preserved, and that in this way the original stock has survived throughout the ages. And today,
they call this the Holy Thorn, and they take a little bit to the Queen every year.
And today, in the grounds of the old Benedictine Abbey, the holy thorn is still growing. It is a genuine Levantine thorn, Cratagus praecox, and it blossoms twice a year, at Christmas time and May. This little ceremony used to take place when a cutting is taken from the holy thorn and presented to the reigning sovereign.
Yes, so the custom had fallen into disuse, but hear what he says here.
But was reinstituted by the command of His Majesty King George V, and now, every year, a sprig of this historic little tree is sent to Her Majesty the Queen as a Christmas decoration, placed usually on Her Majesty's desk. The beautiful story of the young Christ's visit to Britain is depicted in fine needlework on a church banner in Pilton Parish Church near Priddy. Joseph of Arimathea is shown landing from his ship near Glastonbury, and with him is the boy Jesus. There is such a well, called the Chalice Well, at the foot of Glastonbury Tor, which has never run dry within human memory. The well takes its name from the chalice or cup of the Last Supper, which some believe was brought to this country by Joseph, the one priceless possession in memory of that poignant Last Supper.
Easy get over, cause a man in the tinfoil hat is screaming like a teenager. He puts the... Yes, the man in the tinfoil hat is screaming like a teenage girl. Tinfoil hat is screaming like a teenage girl. And Miranda Lambert is back again.
By the way, Mr. Tinsley, you don't mind the stars. You give me your honor.
You can take mine if you wanted.
It's in pieces now.
Scars. It's like scar music, I guess. 1, 2, 7. 2, 7. Da 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 da. There you go. All right, 1, 2, 7. Da 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 da. Ha da 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 ha da da da. I just like to keep all my flavors sealed and tight with aluminum foil. Never settle for less. That kind of wrap is just the best to keep your sandwich nice and fresh. Stick it.
I'm a little piece of tin. Nobody knows where I have been. I've got 4 wheels and I'm running forward. I'm a Ford, oh, I'm a Ford. Honk, honk, bell, 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 crash, beep, beep, honk, honk, bell, 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 crash, beep, beep, honk, honk. Beep, beep. Beep, beep. Beep, beep. I'm a little hunk of tin. Nobody knows what shape I'm in. I've got 4 wheels and a running board. I'm not a Chevy, I'm a Ford. Honk, honk, bell, bell, crash, crash, beep, beep, honk, honk, bell, bell, crash, crash, beep, beep, honk, honk, bell, bell, crash, crash, beep. It gets longer every day. Grandma eats it in her sleep. Says it tastes like shredded wheat. Honk, honk, bell, bell, crash, crash, beep.
Mandrose.
Everything got 10 miles. The jails are made of tin, and you can walk right out again as soon as you are in. There ain't no short handle shovel, no axes, or pick.
Mama told me rock, so it ain't no time to fight in the phone. That's what happens, we can do it all night. I don't get tired like that, some people.
Look out here is Tinny. I wonder if Tinny becomes a bit of a star somehow. Now these blokes are called Tinnies in Australia. habit, very strange properties of tin.
Las aventuras de Rin Tin Tin. ¡Lista la esa! No la ves. Somos amigos, ¿recuerdas? Tranquilo, Rinty. Eso está mejor. Rinty, no me asustes. Soy Schiller.
Well, waves or ripples? Yes, ripples, of course, small waves that we know of on a pond. We throw a little pebble in the pond and we get little waves come and they hit all the shores around in a complete circle, as you can see here, perfect circle from where the rock is dropped. Now, if you sort of think about the micro world to the macro world, would you imagine that when you do throw a rock into a lake or a dam and you get this ripple effect, if that dam was curved, would you get the same even effect? Because that's what you believe if you believe the world is curved, because everything has a slight curve. Or do you think the look of ripples on still water is just way too perfect for something that's curving away from itself, as it were? But of course, it's impossible to model this. I mean, if we could perfectly model this, you could prove one way or another forever whether the world was curved or round. But how do you model curved water? It might be a computer program somebody might be able to work out to model this. But just looking at, I mean, it is a big problem for the idea of a curve. The complete even nature of ripples. And a good place to look at the idea of the ripple effect, the evenness of ripples, are the waves on the